Hi everyone, I'm Shannon Brenton from rshannon.com.au. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm here to answer a question by Tracy from Port Macquarie in New South Wales, Australia. Tracy has asked basically about what cooking oils are the most beneficial oils to cook with and which ones should be avoided for cooking. Tracy's asking this question in reference to her health and her family's health, and she's read all sorts of information and seen literature online from people that are promoting coconut oil for cooking and saying you shouldn't cook with canola oils and you should use macadamia nut oils, etc. So Tracy, what I'm wanting to do for you today, rather than tell you what you've heard before, I'm going to show you why this is important that you understand this. And unfortunately for me, this all comes back to the structure of fat. So I'll ask you to excuse me for a moment while I draw some pictures here that you won't understand too well, but I'll break this down in a way which is fairly succinct and you understand. So when we're talking about fats, we're really talking about three major forms of fats that you need to be concerned about for the moment. They are your saturated fats, your monounsaturated fats, and your polyunsaturated fats. Now, a saturated fat is saturated for this reason. It's a combination of carbon molecules of different lengths. Most of the time these are what we call short chain fatty acids and medium chain fatty acids, meaning that we're looking at sort of 6 to 8 carbon chain molecules most of the time. That does differ sometimes though. And what makes this a saturated fat is the fact that each of these carbon molecules has 4 binding sites. So as you can see, this carbon here is bound to this carbon here by 1 binding site and 1 on the other side here, which means that we've got a hydrogen molecule on both sides of the carbon. And this will go right through this fat chain, and because it is saturated with hydrogen molecules, it's considered a saturated fat. The single layer structure of the carbon chains means that saturated fats pack very, very well at room temperature, and hence why they are always going to be solid at room temp. So these are your coconut oils, Tracy. These are your butters, your duck fats, your ghees, all these things which have been traditionally used for a lot of cooking. Unfortunately, saturated fats have been tainted with the bad brush, the same as cholesterol, which for me really is a shame, because saturated fats really don't deserve the rap they get. But because of its single structure and unique chemical structure, I should say, these fats really do heat well without oxidizing. Oxidation is a whole other process that I won't bore you with, and I'll talk about another time. But the process of oxidation is what does cause cellular degeneration and subsequent disease. And so this is what we're trying to avoid through using certain oils. So that's a saturated fat. Okay, now a monounsaturated fat looks similar, except it will have 1 double bond, or mono, obviously pertaining to 1, in this chain of carbons. Now what this means is, from a bonding perspective, you can see that this carbon molecule here is already bound with 3 bonds, which means that it can have 1 more hydrogen molecule here, and because we've got 1, 2, 3 bonds here, we get 1 hydrogen molecule here, but we lose 1 here and we lose 1 here. Now what this does to the chain is it actually kinks the structure at that position, which means that now we don't have a fat which can pack solid at room temperature. So these are your oils like your avocados, your olive oils, and most of all your nut oils really. So still quite good for cooking with, has a fairly good degree of non-oxidation with heat, but not like your saturated fat. So I generally recommend olive oils be heated very mildly for very short periods of time, and personally I don't heat olive oils at all for that reason. Then we come down to your polyunsaturated. So poly means pertaining to many double bonds. So you can have a handful of different positions where the double bond will occur, and once again at these positions we are missing hydrogen molecules all over the place. For that reason, these fats here kink once again at these structural positions where the double bond occurs, and makes them very, very unstable oils. Now everyone knows, all your bodybuilders watching this know that you don't heat flaxseed oil, you don't heat fish oils. These things we buy from health food stores in the fridge, and we keep them in the fridge. They are known not to be heated. Now that's not by sheer fluke. These oils here are very, very unstable and should not be cooked. Now this is where your soy oils and your canola oils come into play. unfortunately, even just to release oil from the canola, from what the rapeseed to release the canola oil, it gets highly heated, which causes a lot of cellular oxidation with the actual fat itself, meaning that even when you buy these oils off the shelf, there's a very, very good rate that they are already oxidized oils. Heating these continually, any of your vegetable oils, very, very bad idea. I would be avoiding most of these polyunsaturated fats for that reason. Now, in saying so, one of my favourite oils for cooking is rice bran oil. Rice bran oil is really a blender of mono and polyunsaturates. What makes it different I should say, is that it's very, very high in natural vitamin E, which protects this oil from the oxidation process during cooking. I would say that just for general all-purpose cooking, oven baking vegetables and whatnot, rice bran oil is definitely my pick. It's only $7 a litre here in Australia as well, which is great, so it makes very good value for money. It's got a very, very mild flavour, so it doesn't upset the flavour profile of the foods you're using. Whereas coconut oil, which I love and I personally use on a supplementary basis for various reasons, very, very strong flavour, and it tends to really upset the overtone of your vegetables and whatnot. So I would be using my rice bran oils for various cooking for vegetables. Coconut oil is amazing for cooking eggs. It's really good for cooking a lot of poultries in. The spray coconut oil is a very good non-stick alternative to canola oil as well. I would not use canola oil at all, and for the same reason I wouldn't be using any hydrogenated fats, which is your margarines, which if you want to die really early, just eat margarine. So for that reason I am always going to pick butter over margarine. Short chain fat, far more stable, much better for cooking. So just in summary, saturated fats make very, very good sense from a non-oxidation purpose. Your monounsaturated fats, particularly good fats for your health, have really good heart health benefits, very good for reducing LDL cholesterols and increasing HDL cholesterol, so that's your good and bad ratios. And your polyunsaturates really are best to be avoided from a cooking perspective, and small amounts of these should be used, certainly your essential fatty acids, flaxseed oils and fish oils. Thanks for listening. To have your question answered by me, just go to my website, askshannon.com.au, click on Ask a Question and simply submit the form.